A core principle of MI is that people are more likely to accept and act upon opinions and plans which they voice themselves. The more a person argues for a position, the greater his or her commitment often becomes. Therefore, considerable effort is made to allow parents to express their own reasons for change. This is referred to as eliciting change talk. Here we'll talk about 3 discrete strategies for eliciting change talk: importance, confidence rulers, pros and cons, and core values discrepancy. The first strategy for eliciting change talk is to assess how important the target change may be to the parent and how confident they are that they can change. This is typically done by asking parents 2 questions. First, on a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is not at all important and 10 is very important, how important is it for you to make this change? Second, using the same scale, you can ask people, how confident are you that you could make the change if you decided to do so? Several probes can follow. For example, if someone gives you an important score of 6, you could ask, you chose 6. What made you say 6 instead of something lower? This is intended to elicit reasons for change, the benefits of change. Conversely, you could ask what made you choose a 6 instead of something higher. This typically elicits barriers or points of resistance. Finally, you could ask, what would it take to get you to move from a 6 to something higher, say a 9? This encourages solutions or potential options. You usually don't need to use all 3 probes. Use your clinical intuition to select the probes that best fit the situation. Here's an example.
So you see that it might be better to reduce that amount. Let me ask you a question. How important do you think this is going to be? And I'd like to say 0, you're not interested in this, and 10, you're very interested. You think it's extremely important. Where would you place yourself?
Probably 6 or a 7.
Okay, 6 or a 7. Why didn't you pick a lower number, say a 3 or a 4?
Well, I've heard about the salt, the fat, the sugar, the antibiotics and the hormones in fast food, and the artificial ingredients.
So nutritionally, it's probably not the best choice. Let me ask you a tougher one. What would it take to get you to a higher number, let's say an 8 or a 9?
Well, you see, that's really hard because it's fast, it's cheap, and he loves it. I mean, with our busy schedule, it sometimes just seems easier to run and pick up Burger King most of the time. Plus, when I pick him up from daycare, Michael's usually so hungry that he's really cranky, and I just want to feed him anything as long as it's fast.
So on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being not very confident at all and 10 being very confident, how confident are you that you can make this change, that you can actually get that treadmill down and ready to be used?
Well, if I write the note and if I read the note, I would say it's a 10.
For some people, the importance and confidence rulers just aren't helpful, whether it's because they don't like the numeric component or if it's just a confusing concept. In that case, simply elicit a discussion of the pros and cons of changing or not changing. This can be done with a written pros and cons chart or by simply asking questions such as, what are some of the good things and not so good things about the amount of TV your daughter watches? And what are some good things and not so good things about her watching less TV? Take a look at this matrix. When talking with a parent, you could take time to fill in each cell, the pros and cons of changing and the pros and cons of not changing. Parents can fill this out alone or with you. After the matrix is filled in, there are several things an MI practitioner can do. First, it can help to simply digest it with the parent. Ask, what do you make of all this? You can use the matrix to help you prioritize the main issues and even problem solve how to get around some of their main barriers to change. The central concepts that emerge from the matrix include reasons for change, the positive role of the risk behavior, and finally, the dread of change. This exercise can be done in a couple of ways. You can fill out each cell together, or you can be more free-form and simply discuss each cell verbally. The third strategy to elicit change talk is to ask the parent to explore possible discrepancies between their behavior and their core values or life goals. Your aim here is to help them explore what link, if any, they see between the values they reported and their behaviors in question. You might introduce this topic with something like, I'd like to switch gears and ask what values are important for you and your family. Would this be okay? Next, we usually start by asking people to choose from a list, 2 to 4 things that represent important values or goals in their lives. Here's an example.
Sometimes when people are trying to make a decision whether to change something or not, it helps to find one more piece of motivation, something to inspire them. Mm-hmm. One way we try and do that is to have parents and sometimes their kids look at this list, pick maybe 1 or 2 things that are important to you and Kelsey, or you for Kelsey, and let's see if maybe that can help you to find a way to get her to be more active.
I would say from the values for her, being healthy and having high self-esteem are probably my highest on that list at this point. Being healthy being the most important, obviously. And then the high self-esteem, I don't think that she has a great self-esteem.
So losing weight will do a couple great things. One is her self-esteem and her self-consciousness that you've mentioned before will be helped a lot. And also for you, you won't have to worry about heart disease and other things that scare you.
Right.
But anything else on the other columns that maybe might help you or her to make these changes?
Well, in the family values, being healthy, getting along, spending time together, I think those are things we could do if we start doing more together as far as exercising and getting her to agree with meals and servings and things like that.
So that can both give a sense of family peace around family meals if she buys into some of the changes around portion size. And if you guys can exercise together, something that we can talk about more later, it might give you guys some bonding time.
Yes.
And that will be an added benefit to the fact that she's burning up calories.
Right. I think that's important to her, spending time alone with me, as opposed to with her brother also. Will probably motivate her.
When people are able to make a connection between their health behavior and deeper values, it can serve as a tipping point to resolve their ambivalence or build a core motivation they can refer to when they're wavering or struggling. Note that if a discussion of values comes out naturally during a conversation, you may not need to explicitly use the list.